6:04.
All right, 6:04, I'd like to open this meeting of the Board of Assessors. And we are being taped for those in present, which is nobody except for the cameraman, that we are being taped by the West Bridgewater Community TV.
So, Mr. Chairman and board members, you do not have any appointments this evening. I don't have any announcements other than the old and new business. The agenda was revised on Monday to include the senior work-off program. I've highlighted that on your agenda. But the other order of business is Board of Assessors Policy 1019-03, which the board is deferred until there was a full board here. So the issue is vacation leave and other requests for leave. The background is that because there appears to be some confusion regarding the process and the procedure for requesting vacation and other forms of time away from work, this policy is intended to establish an easy-to-follow procedure for requesting and receiving approval of same by combining both the elements of the Board of Assessors Policy 2016-1, which is the chain of responsibilities and communications, with the protocol set forth in Article 5, Article 10, Article 13 of the agreement between the Town of West Bridgewater and the Southeastern Public Employees Association Secretarial Employees, also known as the Collective Bargaining Agreement or Agreement. As I told the board at the last meeting, I didn't want to present this policy to you until I vetted it one more time with the shop steward for the union, and I did that this afternoon. Yes.
The question I just,
Sure.
just for knowledge sake, it's the first time I've seen the the rank and file of the union, the Southeastern Public Employees. Is that something new, or has it always been?
That's what it's
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
That's their official
Okay.
title.
All right, I'm sorry again.
Or the, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or the secretarial employees, also known as the collective bargaining agreement.
Yes.
So I vetted this with the shop steward this afternoon and made one revision, which is under number 5. So before it stated a written response to a personal leave request shall be given to the employee within 2 business days after the submission has been given to the principal assessor. That's been modified to state it, as you can read it now, that a written response will be given as soon as possible, but no longer than 2 days.
Now, when you say the word personal leave, is that for their, what do they have under the contract?
The clerical staff have
three personal days?
personal days.
Yeah,
Personal
so
days.
you're referring to the personal days on that, not
That's
vacation days?
under number 5.
Right, okay.
That's correct. And the unrestricted floating holiday, FYI, is a combination of, like, as I understand it, a half of a personal day. And evidently, the union employees had requested Easter as a vacation day, a holiday, but it wasn't designated as Easter. So the contract simply says a floating holiday. That's what it's referred to as. So other than that, it's what you've had probably for over a month now. And this really just formalizes what's in the agreement itself, the bargaining agreement.
Sure.
But as you know, over the past summer, there were a couple of issues that were raised about
Sure.
how it's supposed to be done. So hopefully this will make it a lot easier for everybody to follow.
Is there any discussion with the board before we make a vote to accept this?
I don't know. Well, the only confusion we had is, unfortunately, we weren't following what the contract said. When Tammy was putting in her request, she wasn't getting her, or she felt she wasn't getting her responses back within the time. So that was all of our mistake.
Well, I don't see it that way. I think the problem is because of the transitioning from me to a part-time employee to a full-time employee, there was a question of how the request would be made. And in the past, the clerical employees would write a letter to the Board of Assessors requesting this day, that day, these days. It's
It will be,
vacation day.
twice a month, so the 2-day thing would be tough.
And then when I became the department head, there was a question about the procedure, whether it should go through the department head or whether it should go to the Board of Assessors.
Yeah, but
And
you've
then
been
other
full-time.
issues followed that.
Yeah, but you've been full-time for what, 2 years now?
Not quite.
Or close to it.
Right, but in my, I'm sure will back me up, there's, regarding, okay, rights of the letter of the law, maybe not, but there's never been any issues with, you said I could have this and I can't, or this, or that. There's never been like any formal, complaints or any issues saying, I told you you can't have it, you said you could, and you didn't get it back to me within 2 days. So it's run pretty smoothly, but that's been a problem, like, when I started here, when Cheryl, we went a year without any principal assessor. So there's no way that something like 2 days or however the collective bargaining was back then could be adhered to because there wasn't even a part-time principal guy. I tried to do the best I could, but you can only do so much.
Right, what happened was just an honest mistake,
Correct.
that's all. It was just an honest mistake.
Sure, and there was never any really discussions or any problems with that quote-unquote honest mistake, so kind of, what had happened, that it wasn't notified promptly as such, and it was never really corrected, but there was, in my opinion, no discussions or, formal complaints that it should be corrected.
So,
Okay.
But-
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, but I don't, if all of this is in the union contract, I don't see why we need to do this, because it seems like we're picking and choosing
Well-
just certain things, because there's actually 4 levels of agreements, not just 2, I
Well,
think that we have listed in
We're
here.
gonna put it on the table because, we're gonna put it to, because now we've discussed it, we've gone over it and such, so that's kind of, reaffirms that we've done that, and, we know what we're looking at here, actually, finally, because, if you ask me, unfortunately, I'll be the first to admit that I didn't know what the collective bargaining on that stuff was, and, I just, whatever, so, I'm gonna make a motion that where we have reviewed it and at least discussed it to a certain extent, that we make a motion to pass the Board of Assessors policy in place for 2019-03 regarding vacation leave and other requests for leave.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
so the next item of business, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, is the senior work-off program overlay account. It's just that time of the year again where the senior work-off program participants have completed their work. The Director of Elder Services has submitted a letter to the Board of Assessors office requesting that you release $30,042 for the work done by those participants of the program. So I've prepared a letter for you to sign this evening. If you are in agreement, and I respectfully request that the board put it to a vote so it goes into the minutes of the record.
Yeah, and I like that, because in the past, I don't know what year it was, we almost had like a formal meeting on this. There was some type of problem, and I'm of the mind, like I'm sure the board is, I can't speak for them, that, you said 30 grand, and it's an excellent program.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, where, the overlay account, as far as I can see, is pretty stable and doing pretty good. If we have a chance, when you talk to the senior director or whoever, how this program works, if we can increase it by, however, we did that before, the formal policy, increase it by a certain amount, I think it's money well spent. And the 30 grand only represents maybe, I don't know what percentage of our overlay, maybe, 6%, I don't know, I'm not sure. So,
Probably less than that.
yeah, so it certainly is not gonna hurt the town to invest this money, the tax dollars on their seniors, who, I don't know about the rest of the departments, but the gals we've had over the years have been, more than adequate. And if they don't want to increase it, for whatever reason, that's fine too, but I'm saying that I'm sure the board would not mind a discussion of that, for FY '21 or '22. Okay? Just to throw it out there.
And that's a good point, Mr. Chairman, because it is a 2-part process. They make a request, the Council on Aging makes a request every year for an amount to be flagged in the overlay account.
They make it work out that.
And then after they actually work for that year, the board makes a vote to release whatever amount was actually
So in other words,
accredited towards.
it could be increased to 34 grand next year without saying we're gonna use 34 grand?
Yes, in
Yeah.
fact, I believe, I know a letter was submitted to the Board of Selectmen asking them to put into place a policy for next year, which I will bring before the
Yeah.
board.
I wonder what I'm thinking of. There was, you remember that, Cheryl? I forget what
Yeah, I
year,
know
but
there was a
we were up in the
problem.
select, there was almost, not a real formal meeting, but about, at the time, I remember the program was about 22,000. So it was probably, 8, 10, I'm not sure.
I think they went over.
Something
what
happened,
is
right?
accrued,
And-
what was supposed to
yeah.
use, it was like 8 or 10,000 over.
And everybody in that room, second to none, said
Yes.
it's a good program and,
Right.
whatever the formality is,
That's what it
let's,
was.
let's move it forward. Showing respect for those hardworking seniors and getting a chance to get some money off their tax bill. So everybody was in agreement that, whatever it takes to increase it. But there was some formal,
Right, that's what it was.
I forget exactly, I'm sorry, but.
Well, that's okay. There were a number of elements over the years that I recall. That was
Yeah.
one of them.
This might be before your time,
Could have
maybe,
even
yeah.
been.
Yeah,
But the board, I know, participated with the selectmen on increasing the amount because
Yes.
the statute is tied to the minimum wage.
Right.
So the minimum wage was going up, which meant that the participants in the program would work less hours if they received the minimum wage. So the board was asked to increase the number
Put
of
that in
hours
line.
along with the minimum wage,
Right.
therefore increasing the total amount of the program,
yeah.
which is how it's gotten up to 30,000.
And it obviously helps because under the guise or the guidelines of 2.5, unless some extenuating circumstances, your property taxes, will go up on the average house. What was it this year? Like $190. So there's a little bit of increase. So there's no problem with a slight increase to that senior workout program.
So the letter that I'm requesting that you sign and the vote that I'm requesting that you take essentially states that at its meeting of December 18th, 2019, the Board of Assessors reviewed the Council of Aging's request to authorize the release of $30,042 from the Assessors Overlay Account for the purpose of funding the tax relief payments for the senior workout, like the 2019 senior workout program participants in compliance with the attached worksheet, which was submitted by the Director of Elder Services.
Showing
which
the
shows the
the
formulation.
calculations. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So do we need to sign that?
Well, a motion would be in order, Mr. Chairman.
A motion is ordered
Authorize.
to accept is that letter from the senior director?
Well, I prepared that for your
Okay.
signature.
All right, so a
If-
motion's in order
If you
to,
agree to do it,
you want us to look at it first before we,
whatever you want to do, Mr. Chairman.
well, whatever it is, I'm fine. I'll make,
I think it's in order, the amount is justified and documented by the Elder Services Director.
all right, so based on that, I'll make a motion to accept that, the letter that John put together regarding the senior workout program and backed up by the calculations by the senior director in the amount of $30,042 to be, approved by the Board of Assessors to, on the
Release from the overlay.
Release from the overlay account.
And then
Thank you.
the town accountant and the town collector can do their end of it, as far
Go
as
ahead.
bookkeeping goes.
Is there a conflict for me to second and vote?
Oh, you could,
Motion, I can second.
yeah,
the-
you could abstain, or
She
you
probably
could,
should
or you
abstain.
could stipulate that you approve it with the exception that your husband is,
I'll just abstain.
you can
Yeah.
abstain.
I second it.
It's fine.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
300, thank you.
you're welcome.
Shouldn't it be
Well, put
201?
2-0, John, yeah.
201, yeah.
I don't know how that works, but,
201,
That would be
2-0 does it.
201.
yeah.
sorry about that. And you have before you a number of bills for payment, motor vehicle excise bills.
Thank you.
And I think there are some tax lien releases and new tax liens to be signed as follow-up to the applications for chapter land use. Thank you. I don't have any minutes for your acceptance or approval. Daniela did prepare the minutes, a draft of the minutes of your November 20th meeting, and I did review them, and Daniela made some edits, but I'll send them by email to you.
Can I don't know whether it's, open session or whatever, but I want to make a point of fact that, the other day I came in the office and, the girls had we put out the Harvard Brain Trust together on some exemption issues. And I want to say, because both the gals are relatively new to the office, and myself, I'm not really an exemption guy, I hate to admit it, but that's it. So I want to say that they, without getting into details, that they handled the situation very, they were telling me what they might want to do, and I agreed to that, and they were telling me this and that, and I thought they handled it about some phone calls they were going to make to get some correct answers. I thought they handled it in an excellent fashion.
Thank you.
Which is great, I'm glad that they handled it well, but maybe during executive session you could share with the rest of us what those problems were or what they shared with you.
We'll see.
Well, we're all board members, so.
Yeah, just, it was no big deal, I'm just making a point that the guys, it was nothing really, earth shattering, but I just want to, put it out there that I thought they did, regarding their longevity on the job and such, and they wanted to make some phone calls and get correct answers. So that's all. In other words, they were willing to accept the fact that they had a problem, and they're gonna make the calls and talk to the chairman, whoever else, to rectify it, which I think is excellent. Because a lot of times in this business, people will just say, well, it's this way here, and I'm gonna do it this way, without any really formal notification.
I appreciate that you compliment the staff. They are doing a good job.
Absolutely.
And I would caution the board from any discussion in executive session because it's not on the agenda for
No.
discussion.
I just wanted to make that point, that's all.
Understood,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Well, then perhaps it can be on the agenda for the next meeting, just so we're all on the same page. Mr. Chairman?
Is there a need for that? Yeah, okay, put it on there, that's fine, yeah. You want to discuss it, we can.
Again, I'll caution,
I'm just giving them, their props,
I
that's all.
caution the board, I'm not sure it's a subject for executive session, but I'll follow up on that.
Oh, boy.
I'll call the Attorney General's office.
I just want, don't. I just want to give them their props. If you want, go ahead, yes.
Which
What-
is great, but you just said, they had some questions, they had some concerns, they were running into issues, so I'm just curious
No,
what
so
issues they
whatever-
were having.
Whatever they were, it didn't matter. The fact that they were ready to, face it head on and make some phone calls and learn on the fly. That, regardless whether it was 1 + 1 = 2 or 2.5, they're willing to deal with it and face it. And, nothing earth shattering. I just want to give them their props. I don't want to make a call the Attorney General, do this and that over something that I thought they did a good job on.
Again, thank you for the compliment.
Okay, let's move
And
on.
I'll pass it on to the other staff member.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else in open session, Mr. Chairman, so it would be appropriate to make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of reviewing applications for abatement relative to Purpose 7, Chapter 59, Section 60, and to review and discuss strategy of pending appellate tax board cases under Purposes 3 and 7 under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 60, because to do so in open session could have a detrimental effect on the board's litigating position. And I don't have any executive session minutes for discussion, so just those two items,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
and we will not reconvene in open
And
session?
not to reconvene in open
Okay.
session. Oh, but before you do that,
Aha,
your
there's
next-
always an if, but.
well, in open session, your next meeting is scheduled for January 1st, New Year's Day. Town Hall will be closed. You certainly can meet if you wish,
I think we should be dedicated, I think we should meet.
but notwithstanding your dedication, you might want to set us.
Well, what we'll do, if it's okay, why don't we do the follow, meet 2 Wednesdays in a row or something?
That's fine with
Yeah,
me, if that
okay,
works for Cheryl.
Either go, 2/3 or 2/4, something, we can just reschedule that first onto the, what would be the
So
8th.
you could do the 11th and, I don't know, the 25th or the 11th and the 18th, but probably if you just schedule the 11th, then you could go from there.
Well, in my opinion, I just thought of that in 1 second.
I'm
that
sorry, I'm looking at December.
No, it might be to go 2/4 on the Wednesdays, because where it's, the bills will go out, the actual bills, there'll be abatement applications to look at. It'll give you a chance to, have some, it'll give you a chance to review some of those applications for us to act on them. If we go to the second Wednesday of January and the
It's
fourth
the
Wednesday.
8th, the 2nd.
The 8th and then,
The
Second and end of
22nd.
the month,
yeah,
So 8 and 22?
8 and
yeah.
22.
Don't you guys think that's, it'll
Yeah,
give us,
no, that's-
yeah.
No, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be on vacation then?
I might. I don't think I'll be on vacation the 8th, but I'll let you know about the.
Well, then we'll amend that.
22nd.
If you are, then we'll go the 8th and the 15th, or whatever it is. How many, is there 5 Wednesdays in January?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
we-
it
we-
has to be.
8, 15, 22, and 29.
Well, on regard to vacation, we'll either go 8,
I usually go around Martin Luther King, so that'd be the 20th.
so our meetings go either 8/22 or 8/29. right?
Yeah, 8, 15, or 29.
Well, so we'll go the, unless, we can do
Do you
the,
want to do 2 weeks in a row?
no, I just said, we'll go the 8th and the 29th.
Okay,
All right,
very good.
that's good.
It'll make a lovely ending to the month.
So roll
Okay,
call.
so, yep, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes that the principal assessor just stated. And do I have a second?
Second?
And we'll need a roll call vote. Assessor Bunker?
Yes?
Smith?
Yes.
McCarthy? Yes.